गिरिधारी श्री श्री राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मरन मोहन जू की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद अशुतर शतस्मद शिल भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोस्वामी महाराज शिल गुरुदेव की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद अशुतर शतस्मद शिल भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद अशुतर शतस्मद शिल भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद अशुतर शतस्मद शिल भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद अशुतर शतस्मद शिल भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल विष्णु महाभागवत शिल गोक्षरस बाबाजी महाराज की जय। नितिल विष्णु शिल सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नितिल विष्णु वैष्णव सार्वभौम शिल जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूपनु गौरिया गुरु वार्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल पतदास रघुनाथ शार गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम आचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदात गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्यामा कुंड की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री what is it? Nitil Vishnu Vishnupad Ashutar Shutashmad Shila Bhakti Kamala Madhusudan Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Tadiya Shubha Avirbhav Titi ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo mahavadanyaya Krishna prema pradayate Krishnaya Krishna chaitanya namne gauratvishe namaha. Guruve gaurachandraya radhikaya itadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tar Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yang Pravrajantam Anupetam Apeta Kritam Dvaipayano Virahaka Tara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmayataya Taravo Bhinedu Stang Sarva Bhutta Hridayam Munimanatosmi. Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Shrinvatang svakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridantasto hyabadrani vidhunoti suhritsatam. Nashta prayeshvavadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. Tavai vasmi na jivami tvaya vina iti vigyaya radhe tvang nayamang charanantikam. Bhaktya vihina aparadha lakshay kshiptashtakama ditaram Gamadhe kripa maitam sharanam prapana vrinde namaste charana ravindam. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Ananda Shri Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dandavat Pranams Prajumna Prabhu, Mantra Murthy Mataji, Gargaraji, and Rup Manjari Didi, Dandavat Pranams, Ganga Didi, Madhavi Didi, Indira Mataji, Haribo, Dandavat Pranams, and Raseshwari Mataji will be watching a little bit later. So Dandavat Pranams to her as well. So let's see, today is the last day of our reading. I'm going to take a little break after this because we're just finishing up this book you see right here, Srila Vāman Goswami Maharaj's letters. It's just doing proofread. So let's see. So we read about the body chariot metaphor. We went over this so many times, I'm not going to go over it again. But you can look at this screen here. What the horses are, the reins, the destinations, chariot driver's seat, the charioteer, spokes of the wheels, passenger, bow, arrow, target, enemies, the sword to destroy the enemies, the wrong path, the dark well, the plunderers. So even if one considers the Lord as enemy and thus constantly thinks of him, one is purified and attains liberation, as described in chapter 1. Some devotees are in viraras, in a chivalrous mood with the Lord, who becomes their so-called enemy. For example, Bhishma pierced Krishna's body in Kurukshetra with arrows. Similarly, with the arrow of chanting the Lord's holy name, one pierced... Oh, we already read this. This is a note. Sorry, let's just skip that. We remember that. All right. So if enjoyment in the world is a wrong path that binds one to the material existence, then why is it prescribed in the scriptures? Different prescriptions are given according to one's qualification. By the path of pravritti, one remains a householder. By the path of nivritti, one becomes a sannyasi. This is explained in the next 10 verses. The paths of pravritti and nivritti. According to the Vedas, there are two kinds of activities, pravritti and nivritti. Pravritti means avartate, pravrittina means avartate. It means rising from a lower to a higher status of material life, by which one is entangled. And nivritti, ashnute mritam. Nivritti means the cessation of material desire by which one is purified and becomes fit for eternal blissful life. Pravritti marg, the path of enjoyment. Pravritti activities are meant for the fulfillment of one's material desires. They include different rituals, animal sacrifices, and public welfare activities. Pitriyana. Through the celestial smoke from the sacrifices, the jiva attains the moon planet. After enjoying, he again descends to earth through rain to become herbs, which are eaten by people and will turn into semen. Thus he is reborn. Now the nivritti marg, the path of detachment. The Brahman, purified by samskars from impregnation to death, offers his sensual actions into the senses illuminated by the fire of knowledge. He offers actions into the senses into the mind, speech into syllables, the syllables into om into the bindu, that's the little dot in the, in the om symbol. The bindu to the nad, the vibration of sound, the vibration of sound into pran, and pran into mahati, the supreme. Note, if we simply place ourselves at Krishna's lotus feet by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, we need not take much trouble in arranging to return to the spiritual world. By the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is very easy. Devayana. On his path of ascent, the progressive living entity successively enters the planes of the sun and finally Brahmaloka. He then surpasses his gross, subtle, and causal designations and attains his pure spiritual state soul and doesn't return to the material world. Conclusion. One who is fully aware of the paths of Pitrayana and Devayana through the eyes of the scriptures is never bewildered, though situated in a material body. Of occupational duties. Where did we get to? We got to 60. Okay. The all-pervading and ever-existing Supreme Brahman. He always exists in the beginning and in the ending of everything and all living entities. He exists in the beginning and in the ending of everything and all living entities, internally and externally as superior and inferior objects, as the knowledge or senses, knowable or sense objects, as expression of words, the object of understanding, as darkness and light. He is personally everything. Note, this verse explains the Vedic aphorism, Sarva Kala Vidam Brahma. Everything that exists is indeed Brahman, or the Supreme. It is also in the Shloki Bhāgavatam, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 2nd Canto, 9th chapter, verses 33 to 36, that the Lord existed even before the creation. Link to the next verse. How can the sannyasi say that everything is a Supreme Lord, or Brahman, when everyone perceives difference between the enjoyed objects and the enjoyers? The world is not false. Although one may consider the sun's reflection from a mirror to be false, sunlight's factual existence. Without the sunlight, the reflection would be impossible. Similarly, one cannot prove by speculation that there is no reality. Note, the impersonalists tried to prove that the varieties we see in this world are false, vivartavad, just as a rope seen to be a snake is false. But the Vaishnavas say that although the idea that the rope is a snake is false, the snake exists in reality. The varieties of this world, although temporary, would be impossible unless there were a real prototype in the spiritual world. Body is false, temporary. The body is neither a combination nor transformation of the 5 material elements. Because the body and its ingredients are neither distinct nor amalgamated, all such theories are insubstantial. Note, Lord Krishna and his multi-energies exist simultaneously. Everything is an expansion of Krishna's energy, so he is simultaneously one with and different from everything. Yet, by worshipping stone or wood, we get no result. But when the stone or wood are represented in the Lord's original form as a deity, by worshipping the deity, we get the desired result. World is false, temporary. The body cannot exist without subtle sense objects. Since the body is temporary, the sense objects are also naturally false or temporary. But if the body and the world are false, how does the perception that elements are real arise? Okay, so yeah, the body and the world are false, but how does the perception that elements are real arise? Okay, so that's where we are now. It's going to answer this question. Let's see, where is it? Okay. All right, we read up to 60 yesterday, I think. Yes, we did. Let me just double check. Yeah. Okay, because the body is formed of the 5 elements, it cannot exist without the subtle sense objects. Therefore, since the body is false, the sense objects are also naturally false or temporary. Sat sadrisha brahmaṇḍavad vikalpe sativastuna jagrat swapno yata swapo yata swapne tata vidi nishedata. When a substance and its parts are separated, the acceptance of similarity between one and the other is called illusion. While dreaming, one creates a separation between the existences called wakefulness and sleep. It is in such a state of mind that the regulative principles of the scriptures, consisting of injunctions and prohibitions, are recommended. Purport. In material existence, there are many regulative principles and formalities. If material existence is temporary or false, this does not mean that the spiritual world, although similar, is also false. That one's material body is false or temporary does not mean that the body of the Supreme Lord is also false or temporary. The spiritual world is real, and the material world is similar to it. For example, in the desert, we sometimes find a mirage, but although the water in a mirage is false, this does not mean that there is no water in reality. Water exists, but not in the desert. Similarly, nothing real is in this material world, but reality is in the spiritual world. The Lord's form and his abode, Goloka Vrindavan and the Vaikuntha planets, are eternal realities. From Bhagavad Gita, we understand that there is another Prakriti, or nature, which is real. This is explained by the Lord himself in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verses 19 to 21. Bhutagrama sa evayam bhutva praliyate ratyagame vashaparta prabhavatyahara parastasmat bhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatana yasa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati avyakto-kshara ityuktas tamaho paramangatim yang prapa na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Again and again, the day of Brahma comes, and all living beings are active. And again, the night falls, O Partha, and they are helplessly dissolved. Yet there is another nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. That supreme abode is called unmanifested and infallible, and it is the supreme destination. When one goes there, he never comes back. That is my supreme abode. The material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. The material world is temporary or false, but the spiritual world is an eternal reality. Bhavadvaitang kriyadvaitang dravyadvaitang tatatmana vartayan svanubhuteha trinsvapnan dhunute muni. After considering the oneness of existence, activity and paraphernalia and after realizing the self to be different from all actions and reactions, the mental speculator, the Muni, according to his own realization, gives up the three states of wakefulness, dreaming, and sleep. There should be a comma there. Okay. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The three words Bhavadvaita, Kriyadvaita, and Dravyadvaita are explained in the following verses. However, one has to give up all the non-duality of philosophical life in the material world and come to the actual life of reality in the spiritual world in order to attain perfection. Karyakarana-vasvaikya darshanam partatantuvat avastutvad vikalpasya bhavadvaitam taruchyate. When one understands that result and cause are one and that duality is ultimately unreal, like the idea that the threads of a cloth are different from the cloth itself, one reaches the conception of oneness called Bhavadvaita. Yad brahmani pare shakshat sarva karma samarpanam mano vaktanubi partha kriyadvaitam taruchyate. My dear Yudhiṣṭhira, Partha, when all the activities one performs with his mind, words, and body are dedicated directly to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one reaches oneness of activities, called Kriyadvaita. Purport. The Krishna consciousness movement is teaching people how to come to the stage of dedicating everything to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7, Yat karoshi yarashnasi yajuhoshasi yat tapasyasi konteya tat kurushva mararpanam. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering unto me. If whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we think, and whatever we plan is for the advancement of the Krishna consciousness movement, this is oneness. No difference between chanting for Krishna consciousness and working for Krishna consciousness. On the transcendental platform, they are one. But we must be guided by the spiritual master about this oneness. We should not manufacture our own oneness. Atmajaya sutadinam anyesham sarvadehinam yat svarta kamayor aikyam dravyadvaitam taruchate. When the ultimate goal and interest of oneself, one's wife, one's children, one's relatives, and all other embodied living beings is one, this is called dravyadvaita, or oneness of interest. Purport. The actual interest of all living entities, indeed the goal of life, is to return home back to. This is the interest of one's own self, one's wife, one's children, one's disciples, and one's friends, relatives, countrymen, and all humanity. The Krishna consciousness movement can give directions for management by which everyone can partake in Krishna conscious activities and reach the ultimate goal, which is known as Svarta Gatim. This objective of everyone's interest is Vishnu. But because people do not know this, Nate vidu Svarta Gatim hi Vishnu, they are making various plans by which to fulfill so many concocted interests. The Krishna consciousness movement is trying to bring everyone to the highest interest. The process may be differently named, but if the aim is one, people should follow it to achieve the ultimate goal in life. Unfortunately, people are thinking of different interests, and blind leaders are misleading them. Everyone is trying to reach complete happiness materially. Because people do not know what complete happiness is, they are materially diverted toward different interests. Yad yasya vanishidham syad yena yatra yato nripa satene hetakaryani naro nanyar anapadi. In the absence of danger, O King Yudhiṣṭhira, a man should perform his prescribed activities according to his status of life with the things, endeavors, process, and living place that are not forbidden for him, and not by any other means. Purport. This instruction is given for men in all statuses of life. Generally, society is divided into Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, Brahmacharis, Vanaprasthas, Sannyasis, and Grihasthas. Everyone must act according to his position and try to please the Supreme Personality, for that will make one's life successful. This was instructed in Naimisharanya. Atapumbir dvija shreshta varnashrama vibhagasha svanushthitasya dharmasya Sansiddhir Haritoshanam. O best among the twice-born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging his prescribed duties, his dharma, according to the caste divisions and order of life, is to please the Lord Hari. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1-13. Everyone should act according to his occupational duties, just to please the Supreme Personality. Then everyone will be happy. Etaranyascha vedoktar vartamana sakarmabhi vehepyasa gatim yaya rajangstar bhaktibhanara. O King, one should perform his occupational duties according to these instructions, as well as other instructions given in the Vedic literature, just to remain a devotee of Lord Krishna. Thus, even while at home, one will be able to reach the destination. Purport. The ultimate goal of life is Vishnu, Krishna. Therefore, either by Vedic regulative principles or by materialistic activities, if one tries to reach the destination of Krishna, that is the perfection of life. Krishna should be the target. Everyone should try to reach Krishna from any position of life. Krishna accepts service from anyone. The Lord says in Bhagavad 9:32, Mang hi partha vyapashritya ye pisu papayo naya striyo vaishyas tata shudras epi yanti parangatim. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they may be of lower birth, such as women, vaishyas, merchants, as well as shudras, workers, they can be approached, all of them can approach the supreme destination. Everyone can approach the supreme destination. It does not matter what one's position is. If one aims at reaching Krishna by performing his occupational duty under the direction of the spiritual master, his life is successful. It is not that only sannyasis, vanaprasthas, and brahmacharis can reach Krishna. A grihastha, a householder, can also reach Krishna, provided he becomes a pure devotee without material desires. An example of this is cited in the next verse. Aparganar uttaratatmana prabho yatpada pankeruha sevaya bhavan arashin nirjita digvaja kratum. Oh, making us go to the next page. O King Yudhiṣṭhira, because of your service to the Supreme Lord, and all of you Pāṇḍavas, because of your service to the Supreme Lord, all of you Pāṇḍavas defeated the greatest dangers posed by numerous kings and demigods. By serving the lotus feet of Krishna, you conquered great enemies who were like elephants, and thus you collected ingredients for sacrifice. By his grace, may you be delivered from material involvement. Purport. Placing himself as an ordinary householder, Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira inquired from Nārada Muni how a griha mudadhi, a person who is entangled in household life and who thus continues to remain a fool, can be delivered. Nārada Muni encouraged Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira by saying, "You are already in the safe side because you, along with your entire family, have become a pure devotee of Krishna." By Krishna's grace, the Pāṇḍavas conquered in the battle of Kurukshetra, and were saved from many dangers, not only by kings, but sometimes even by the demigods. Thus, they are a practical example of how to live in security and safety by the grace of Krishna. Everyone should follow the example of the Pāṇḍavas, who showed how to be saved by the grace of Krishna. Our Krishna consciousness movement is intended to teach how everyone can live peacefully in this material world and at the end of life return home back to Godhead. In the material world, there are always dangers at every step. Padam padam yad vipadam natesham. Nonetheless, if one takes shelter of Krishna without hesitation and keeps under the shelter of Krishna, he can easily cross the ocean of neshin. Samashrita ye padapallava plavam mahat padam punya yasho murare. To the devotee, this great ocean of nescience becomes like a puddle of water in the hoofprint of a cow. A pure devotee, without embarrassing himself by trying for elevation so many ways, stays in the safest position as a servant of Krishna, and thus his life is eternally safe, without a doubt. Aham purabhavam kaschid Gandharva Upabarhaṇa Namna tite mahakalpe Gandharvanam susamata. Long ago, in another Mahakalpa, millennium of Brahma, I existed as the Gandharva known as Upabarhaṇa. I was very respected by the other Gandharvas. Purport. Srila Nārada Muni is giving a practical example from his past life. Formerly, during the previous lifetime of Lord Brahma, Nārada Muni was one of the denizens of Gandharva Loka, but unfortunately, as will be explained, he fell from his exalted position in Goloka, where the inhabitants are extremely beautiful and expert in singing, to become a Shudra. Nonetheless, because of his association with devotees, he became more than he was in Gandharva Loka. Even though cursed by the Prajapatis to become a Shudra, in his life he became the son of Lord Brahma. The word Mahakalpe is described by Srila Madhvacharya as Atita Brahmakalpe. Brahma dies at the end of a life of many millions of years. The day of Brahma is described in Bhagavad Gita 8:17. Sahasra Yuga Parihar Yad Brahmano Vidu Ratim Yuga Sahasrantam Teho Ratra Vido Jana. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. Bhagavan Sri Krishna can remember incidents from 4 millions of years ago. Similarly, his pure devotee like Nārada Muni can also remember incidents from a past life millions and millions of years ago. Rupa Peshala Madhurya Sogandhya Priyadarshana Srinang Priyatam Nityang Matta Swapuralampata. I have a beautiful face and a pleasing, attractive bodily structure. Decorated with flower garlands and sandalwood pulp, I was most the women of my city. Thus, I was bewildered, always feeling lusty desires. Purport. From the description of Nārada Muni when he was one of the denizens of Gandharva Loka, it appears that everyone on the planet is extremely beautiful and pleasing, and always decorated with flowers and sandalwood. Upabarhaṇa was Nārada Muni's. Upabarhaṇa was specifically expert in decorating the attention of women, and thus he became a playboy, as described in the next verse. To be a playboy in this life is unfortunate, because too much attraction to women will lead one to fall into the association of who can easily take advantage of mingling with women without restriction. In this present age of Kali, when people are mandha sumandha mataya, very bad because of a Shudra mentality, such free mingling is prominent. On higher classes, Brahman, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, there is no chance for men to mingle, but in the Shudra community, such mingling is open. Because there is no cultural education in this age of Kali, everyone is spiritually untrained, and everyone is therefore to be considered a Shudra. Ashuddha Shuddha Kalpa hi Brahmana hi Kali Sambhava. When all the people become Sudras, certainly they are very bad. Manda Sumanda Mataya. Thus, they manufacture their own life, with the result that they gradually become unfortunate, Manda Bhagya. And furthermore, they are always disturbed by various circumstances. Ekada deva satretu gandharvapsarasam gana upahuta vishvasrigbir harigato pagane. Once there was a Sankirtan festival to glorify the Supreme Lord and of the demigods, and the Gandharvas and Apsaras were invited by the Prajapatis to take part in it. Purport. Sankirtan means chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The Hare Krishna movement is not a new movement, as people sometimes mistakenly think. The Hare Krishna movement is present in every millennium of Lord Brahma's life, and the holy name is chanted in all the higher planetary systems, including Brahmaloka and Chandraloka, not to speak of Gandharva Loka and Apsara Loka. The Sankirtan movement that was started in this 500 years ago by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is therefore not a new movement. Sometimes, because of our bad luck, it stopped. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his servants again start the movement for the benefit of the entire, or indeed, they start the movement for the benefit of the entire world, or in the entire universe. Okay, I'm just curious what word they use for Sankirtan. Once upon a time, they were invited by great demigods. Hari Gata Upagayane, on an occasion of Kirtan. Okay, sorry. Aham cha gayam stad vidvan, stri viparivrito gata, gyatva vishra srijastan me, helanam she puro jasa, yahitam shudratam ashu, nashta shri krita helana. Nārada Muni continued.
Being invited to that festival, I also joined, and surrounded by women, I began musically singing the glories of the demigods. Because of this, the Prajapatis, sorry, because of this, the Prajapatis, the great demigods in charge of the affairs of the universe, forcefully cursed, because you have committed an offense, may you immediately become a Shudra, devoid of beauty. Purport. As far as kirtan is concerned, the Shastras say, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. One should chant the glories of the Supreme Lord and the holy name of the Supreme Lord. This is clearly stated. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. One should chant about and glorify Lord Vishnu, not any demigod. Unfortunately, there are foolish persons who invent some process of kirtan on the basis of a demigod's name. This is an offense. Kirtan means glorifying the Supreme Lord, not any demigod. Sometimes people invent Kali Kirtan or Shiva Kirtan, and even big sannyasis in the Mayavad school say that one may chant any name and still get the same result. But here we find that millions and millions of years ago, when Nārada Muni was in Gandharva, he neglected the order to glorify the Lord, and being mad in the association of women, he began to chant otherwise. Thus he was cursed to become a Shudra. His first offense was that he went to join the Sankirtan party in the company of lusty women. And another offense was that he considered ordinary songs, like cinema songs and other such songs, to be equal to Sankirtan. For this offense, he was punished with becoming a Sudra. Tava dasyam aham yajagye tatrapi brahmavadinam Shushrushayanusangena praptoham brahmaputratam. Although I took birth as a Shudra from the womb of a maidservant, I engaged in the service of Vaishnavas who were well versed in Vedic knowledge. Consequently, in this life, I got the opportunity to take birth as a son of Lord Brahma. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead says in Bhagavad Gita 9:32, Mang hi partya vyapashritya ye pishu syu papayonaya striyo vaishyastata shudras tepi yanti param gatim. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of a lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, as well as Shudras, workers, can approach the supreme destination. It doesn't matter whether a person is born as a Shudra, a woman, or a Vaishya. If he associates with devotees repeatedly or always, sadhu sangena, he can be elevated to the highest perfection. Nārada Muni is explaining this in relation to his own life. The Sankirtan movement is important, for regardless of whether one is a Shudra, Vaishya, Malecha, Yavana, or whatever, if one associates with a pure devotee, follows his instructions, and serves the pure devotee, his life is successful. This is bhakti, anukulena krishnanushilanam. Bhakti consists of serving Krishna and his devotees very favorably. Anyabhilashita shunyam. It's the 11th verse from the beginning of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. If one has no desire other than to serve Krishna and his devotee, then his life is successful. This is explained by Nārada Muni through this practical example from his own life. Dharmaste grihome dhiyo varnita papanashana grihasto yena padavim anjasa nyasinam iyat. The process of chanting the holy name of the Lord is so powerful that by this chanting, even householders, grihastas, can very easily gain the ultimate results achieved by persons in the renounced order. O Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira, I have now explained to you that process of religion. Purport. This is a confirmation of the Krishna consciousness movement. Anyone who takes part in this movement, regardless of what he is, can gain the topmost result achieved by a perfect sannyasi, namely Brahmagyan, spiritual knowledge. Even more important, he can advance in devotional service. Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira thought that because he was a grihasta, there was no hope of his being liberated, and therefore he asked Nārada Muni how he could get out of material entanglement. But Nārada Muni, citing a practical example from his own life, established that by associating with devotees and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, any man in any condition of life can achieve the perfection without a doubt. Oh, I know this shloka by heart. I sing Kartik time. Yuyam nriloke bata bhuri bhaga lokam punana munayo bhiyanti yeshang grihan avasati tishakshad gudam param brahmanushalingam. My dear Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira, you Pandavas are so very fortunate in this world that many, many great saints who can purify all the planets of the universe come to your house just like ordinary visitors. Furthermore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is living confidentially with you in your house, just like your brother. Purport. Here is a statement exalting a Vaishnava. In human society, a Brahman is the most respected person. A Brahman who can understand Brahman, the impersonal Brahman, but hardly ever can one understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is described by Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita as Parang Brahma. A Brahman may be extremely fortunate in having achieved Brahma Gyan, but the Pandavas were so exalted that the Para Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was living in their house like an ordinary human being. The word Bhuri Bhaga indicates that the Pandavas were in still a higher position than Brahmacharis and Brahmans. In the following verses, Nārada Muni repeatedly glorifies the position of the Pandavas. Savabhramahad vimrigya kaivalna sukhanubhuti priya suhridva kalumatuleya atmarhaniyo vidikrid kuruscha. How wonderful is it that the Supreme Tonality of Godhead, the Para Brahman Krishna, who is sought by great sages for the sake of liberation and transcendental bliss, is acting as your best well-wisher, your friend, your cousin, your heart and soul, your worshipable director, and your spiritual master. Purport. Krishna can be director and spiritual master of who is serious about getting the mercy of Krishna. The Lord sends the spiritual master to train a devotee, and when the devotee is advanced, the Lord acts as a spiritual master within his heart. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Krishna does not become the direct spiritual master unless one is fully trained by his representative spiritual master. Therefore, as we have already discussed, the Lord's representative spiritual master should not be considered an ordinary human being. The representative spiritual master never gives any false knowledge to his disciple, but only perfect knowledge. Thus, he is the representative of Krishna. Krishna helps as the guru, or spiritual master, from within and from without. From without, he helps the devotee as his representative, and from within, he talks personally with the pure devotee and gives him instructions by which he may return home back to Godhead. Nayasya shakshar bhavaparmajadivi rupam dhiya vastu tayopavarnitam nitam monena bhaktyo pashamena pujita prasidatang esha sasatvatang pati. Present here now is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose true form cannot be understood even by such great personalities as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. He is realized by devotees because of their unflinching surrender. May that same Personality of Godhead, who is the maintainer of his devotees and who is worshipped by silence, by devotional service, and by satirical activities, be pleased with us. Purport. Lord Krishna is not properly understood even by such exalted personalities as Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, what to speak of ordinary men. But by his causeless mercy, he bestows the benediction of devotion upon his devotees, who can thus understand Krishna as he is. Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvata. No one within this universe can understand Krishna in truth. But if one engages in devotional service, one can understand him perfectly well. This is also confirmed by the Lord in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita 7.1. Maya sakta manaparta yogam yunjan marashraya asangshayam samagrang mam yata gyasya trinu. Now, hear, O son of Pritha, Arjuna, how by participating yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Lord Krishna himself teaches how one can understand him perfectly well. Not only the Pāṇḍavas, but everyone who sincerely accepts the instructions of Krishna can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as, after instructing Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, Nārada Muni prays for the Lord's blessings that he may be he prays for the Lord's blessings that he be pleased with everyone, and that everyone become perfect in God consciousness and return home back to Godhead. Shri Shuka Uvacha Iti Devarshina Proktam Nishamya Bharatarshava Pujayam Asasuprita Krishnam Cha Prema Vivala. Shri Sukadeva Gosvami said, Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira, the best member of the Bharat dynasty, thus learned everything from the descriptions of Nārada Muni. After hearing these instructions, he felt great pleasure from within his heart, and in great ecstasy, love, and affection, he worshipped Lord Krishna. Purport. It is natural that when someone belongs to one's family circle, belonging to one's family circle is understood to be very great, one becomes ecstatic in love, thinking, oh, such a great personality is our relative. When Sri Krishna, who is already known to the Pāṇḍavas, was further described by Nārada Muni to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, naturally the Pāṇḍavas were amazed, thinking, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is with us as our cousin. Certainly their ecstasy was extraordinary. Krishna Partha Vupamantra Pujita Prayayo Muni Shrutva Krishnam Parang Brahma Partha Parama Vismita. Nārada Muni, being worshipped by Krishna and Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira, bade them farewell and went away. Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, having heard that Krishna, his cousin, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was struck with wonder. Purport. After hearing the conversation between Narada and Yudhiṣṭhira, if one still has any doubts about Krishna's being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one should immediately give them up. Asamshayam samagram. Without any doubt and without any defect, one should understand Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus surrender at his lotus feet. Ordinary persons do not do this, even after hearing all the Vedas. But if one is fortunate, although it may be even after many, many births, he comes to this conclusion: Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavang mang prapadyate. It's Bhagavad Gita 7:19. Okay, this is the last verse of the 7th canto. Iti dakshayaninante pritagvangsha prakirtita devasura manusyadya lokayatra charachara. On all the planets within this universe, the varieties of living entities, moving and non-moving, including the demigods, demons, and human beings, were all generated from the daughters of Maharaj Daksha. I have now described them and their different dynasties. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 7th canto, 15th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Instructions for Civilized Human Beings. Completed on the night of Vaishakhi Shukla Akadashi, the 10th of May. The mercy of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Thus we may happily chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. End of the 7th canto. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. All right, end of the 7th canto. Wow, that's really exciting. Maybe we can get a sneak peek in what's in the 8th canto. It's only 6:22. Let's check out I'm just going to go to my desktop. Where is it? My God, I need to clean up this desktop. Where is it? Bhagavat Subodhini is right here. Come on, open up. Let's see what we'll be reading. Oh, come on. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second here. What the heck? How come it's not opening up? Open. There. Okay. So here is Bhagavat Subodhini, Canto 8. So here's the 8th canto at a glance. 6 types of persons in each of the 14 Manvantars in a day of Brahma. Manu, Deva, the demigods, sons of Manu, Indra, the 7 chief sages, and the Manvantar incarnation. Then part A, the first 4 Manvantars. So then we'll read about Swayam Manu's perfection and the deliverance of Gajendra. Oh, that's so beautiful. I have a really beautiful article by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on this called Arohabad. I sent it out on the Gaudiya Kirtan mailing list, but yeah, maybe we could read that again. Then the 5th and 6th Manvantars. So we'll read about the Samudra Manthan. Oh, that's a really cool. That's really trippy, actually. And Krishna comes in so many different incarnations. The universal war, and Mohini Murti bewilders Shiva in the present and 7th. Okay, and then we read about the present, 7th, and future, the 8th to the 14th Manvantars. We read about the activities of the 6 types of persons in the 7th and 14th Manvantars, the universal management, the duties of all of everybody. Then we'll read about Bali Maharaj and Vamandev. And then we'll read about Matsya, and that looks like the whole 8th canto. Cool. So, 6 types of persons, the deliverance of Gajendra, Samudra Manthan, that whole story, and Bali Maharaj and Vamandev, and Matsya Avatar. Okay, got it. That's what we'll be covering, but I don't know when I'm going to start the 8th canto yet, because it depends how long it takes to send in all the corrections for this book that we're publishing. And we want to publish this book of letters by Srila Vamana Goswami Maharaj before his appearance day, which is on the 28th. And so right now we're just quickly proofreading it and finishing everything up. There's a really beautiful long glorification by Srila Gurudev on him that Srivas just translated, but now it's going through the fidelity checking process of that. And it is such a good book, though. Yeah, I can't even tell you. It's so good, so exciting, so inspiring. Oh man. Maybe on Srila Vamana Goswami Maharaj's centennial day, we can read about his life history. We can read the 26 qualities, his glories, and I can't even explain how beautiful it is. And then I haven't read actually Gurudev's glorification yet, but according to Srivas, that was the most beautiful out of everything. That was the most beautiful thing. And then maybe we could also read some of his letters. The book is, I think it's going to be like 500 pages, so a big, thick book. And yeah. Gajendra is your favorite, Indira Mataji? Cool. Me too. All right, everybody. So I don't think it will be too long. It'll probably be a few days before we send it to the printers. Because, I mean, we need to have it printed before the 28th. So, yeah, can't take too long. I don't know, maybe it'll be a week. Anyways, I'll keep you updated. Once I get a more realistic picture of when we're going to be sending it to the printers, then I'll let you know. All right, Haribol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shishi. Pajumna Prabhu, I don't know the answer to your question. Yeah, sorry about that. Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju ki Jai. Nitil Pavishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev ki Jai. Nitil Pavishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Nitil Pavishtam Bhakti Vedanta ki Jai. Nitil Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Nitil Pavishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitil Pavishta Vishnupad Nitil Pavishta Mahabhagavat Srila Gorakshara Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Nitil Pavishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai. Nitil Pavishta Prabhu Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bharagunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhattadashagunath Shara Gosai Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Adaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund ki Jai. Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Saptam Skanda ki Jai. Shri Nrsimha Bhagavan ki Jai. Bhakti Vigna Vinashankari Shri Nrsimha Bhagavan ki Jai. Bhakta Pravar Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Nārada Rishi ki Jai. Shri Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Kamala Madhusudan Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Tadiya Shubha Avirbhav Titi ki Jai. Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Feels really good finishing another canto and being able to start a new one. Well, I guess we have to wait a little while before we start the 8th canto. But yeah, all right. Thank you so much for tolerating all my internet problems and also when I fall asleep and when I have a hard time reading. You're all very patient and very encouraging and very grateful to all of you. Jai Shri Radhe Haribo. Oh, and Prajumnaru, you're asking if there is a song, any bhajans and Gajendra. Yeah, well, I don't know a whole song on Gajendra, but there are songs that mention him. Like, let me see if I can remember. That there's a Hindi song, Hari se bara Hari kanam, Prabhu se Prabhu bara kanam, Antame nikala ye parinam, Hari se Hargo Gajaraja pukaro na 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 na. There's a whole verse on Gajendra there. It's beautiful. And I think there might be something else. Anyways, yeah. All right, everybody. Dandavat pranams. see you all whenever. I'll give you a message. But yeah, there's going to be a little break now. Jai Shri Radhe, Haribol, Ganga Didi, and everybody else. Okay, I'm not going to say everybody's name. Oh, wait. Before you go, I was thinking, I want to start making a plan for this, but I want to start a new shloka program. You know, I did one before where we went over many different definition shlokas. We did a ton of shlokas, but I want to start something again on Srila Vamana Goswami Maharaj's centennial appearance day. I thought we could start on that day. And I was thinking of doing it a bit differently. I only want to do one shloka a week because it was a little bit too much for me doing it every other day. And I was thinking, did I mention this idea before? I was thinking that maybe we could, like we had a WhatsApp group, or we had a Telegram group actually, where everybody would repeat the shloka and explain it in their own words. And sometimes they'd give long explanations and people would share their thoughts, and that was really nice. And so we can keep that going. But I was thinking of also making a time once a week where we can, everybody who's learning the shlokas together, we can get together and we can each take turns trying to say the shloka. It can be like a Zoom call or some kind of thing like that. And I don't know what topic we should do. We could just do important shlokas. We could redo the definition shlokas, but more, carefully. Or we can do Prahlad Charitra. That would be nice. There's all different kinds of things we could do. What I was thinking of doing before was going over Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and learning all the main important shlokas in there. That has all the definition shlokas also. I mean, or we could go. I did a whole series where we focused on shlokas on Vaishnava Parad, and there are tons of shlokas like that. And I actually, I was rushing through them too quickly. I would like to go over those slowly so that I really got them down. Or I'm open to all other ideas that anybody has. But yeah, that would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? We could all get together and. Or if you don't want to join, like if you aren't able to join that or anything, then you could also share in the group that we have. Anyways, this is, in 17 days from now or something like that, 16 days, more than 2 weeks from now. But just wanted to put it out there so that you can have it in your mind. And what I really want to do is I want to get into making videos, like little YouTube videos. And so then I could, I was like taking shots of different sceneries and Vraj and I want to do stuff like that in Navadip and like edit videos. And I want it so that just watching one video, by the end of the video, you can have the whole shloka memorized. But I want to make the video interesting and fun, like not just like where I click live and I, do the thing, but I want to like edit it and make it interesting and nice. And anyways, yeah, that's my plan. It's my dream. I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but it's my dream and I hope it does happen. We'll see. And I think that would be a nice thing to start as an offering to Srila Vamana Goswami Maharaj also. Do something. All right. What's that, Prajamna? Oh, is it a 1 week break? I think, yeah, I think a 1 week break from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and then we'll start 8th Canto. It's just when we send it to the printers, this Srila Vamana Goswami Maharaj book. Then I'll start it up again. Maybe I'll start it earlier. It just depends on the situation. I don't know the situation well enough myself to give any guarantees about anything. All right, Hari Bol, everybody. Jai Shri Radhe.